everybody. It's 6:30. So I'm going to call to order the Public Works and Utilities Committee meeting, which is the first meeting on our docket tonight. Attendance has been taken already, so if you'll please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. So this brings us to number 4 on our agenda, which is comments from citizens. So if you have a comment or a question, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address.
Is that me?
Absolutely.
Okay. Hi, I'm Phil Magley. This is my wife Brenda. We live at
You gotta come
530.
over here. State your address.
I'm Phil Magley, and this is my wife Brenda Magley. We live at 533 South Columbia Street. Full disclosure, this is our son. And
You
this,
blame him?
well, yes. Until we grandchild.
Look at him drop his head when he's embarrassed.
So this is in regard to the property on 501 Columbia Street, and so if you all aren't familiar with it, I took a couple pictures just so everyone will be on where we're at. So this reason I'm here is it started on about April 27th. We live about a half a block from this place, so I go up and down that street, Columbia Street, all the time. Noticed a tent in the yard, so we called the property owner and was really thought we were doing a good thing, you know. Didn't know if he knew he had anybody in there, and he said, yeah, and told us the circumstance anyway. So that was April 27th, and as far as we know, nothing was ever done about it. We didn't contact the property owner anymore. On June 1st, the city administrator was made aware that the trash was being picked up. And I know that the utilities are shut off, so I can't believe they're paying for trash for that. On June 24th, my wife sent an email to the mayor and Alderman Decker, and at this time there was a couple other people living in the house, not just the gentleman I'm talking about. And I don't have any beef with the man that's living there now or the property owner. They've not done anything to me. I know the property owner well, and the mayor replied at that time that he was gonna have a meeting with the property owner, and he was gonna get him out. And that was on June 24th. On July 21st, was when they finally stopped picking up the trash. And so, as far as we knew from April till then, you know, we weren't informed. I guess we don't need to be, but so on August 1st, I called Boone County Health and Inspector. I thought that I was actually trying to go over your head. I didn't think you all were doing anything. I wasn't informed, but I didn't know. So I called them, and they informed me that that's not what they do. They do restaurants, and that I should call Boone County Sheriff. So I called Boone County Sheriff, and I talked to them, and told them I'd like to put them come down and check and see if this place is habitable, if they get this guy out of here. And then they said someone would get back with me, and that's when an officer, some trade officer, called me. I don't remember his name, but he was very nice and explained what was going on, and that they had talked to the property owner, and that he had filed some kind of inspection of occupancy or something like that had to be, and I don't know if that's been done or not, or if that passed. Maybe it's none of my business. And so, you know, that's basically why I'm here now. We just had a few questions, you know. I know he's running a generator, so he's got electricity back there, whether he's hooked into the back of the breaker box or just running extension cords, I don't know. I can't believe the place is habitable. He is running a business out of there. I called the locksmith on August the 6th and asked him if he could come unlock my truck. And he said, yes, he sure could. And I said, well, I saw your sign there on Columbia Street. And he said, yeah, that's where I'm living. And I said, what kind of truck do you have? And I told him, and he said I could do it for $30. And I said, okay, I'll get back with you. I never did. But, you know, and so it doesn't have water, so it probably doesn't have sewer. Where's this guy going to the bathroom? You know, I do just some questions that, you know, we have. I know that the homeless in Centralia is evidently a lot worse than I thought it was. I don't know what can be done about it, but that's my concerns, and I don't know if Brenda, you had anything to add?
Well, we just,
Up the microphone.
thank you, Mr.
Where do you live at? Your zip code's on the front of your shirt.
Yeah, let me
That's pretty cool.
make sure I wear this so I don't get lost.
She does get lost a lot.
And Hillary made this for me. But, yeah, we just want to see what you guys are gonna do about this because, you know, it's an increasing problem. And it can get worse down there, and there are other people staying there. There's more than one guy there, in and out all the time.
Different times, yeah.
Different vehicles. You know, if we don't do something, put a stop to it, it's gonna be all over town, because they're running them out of Columbia. This guy started out at Tri-City Lake, and he was there for 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, the Conservation Department runs him off, and then they have to go somewhere. And so, this property owner said, you know, you could go in to the town and stay in my yard as long as you do some work to clean the place up, tear off the porch, make the house presentable for the neighborhood. Well, that hasn't happened. And, you know, I don't want it to get to be where we come and say, I can't believe this happened in our small little town. And it's gonna happen. You know, we have children walking by there every day, school's getting ready to start. You know, we don't know anything about this guy. You know, have we ran a license plate or anything on any of these vehicles? You know, we don't see a lot of policing in our area. We don't see a lot of code enforcement in our area. And we're home every day. We're out in our yard every day because we're proud of where we live.
Right.
So we like some answers.
I can give you answers, plenty of them too. June 24th, you called me.
Can I step up to the mic?
Chris Cox, 603 Newport Drive. No, I can give you plenty of answers. It's
Okay.
just frustrating for us, I think it is for the public, because we live here too, right?
Right.
So the whole situation, you called me, I was in Cancun. Got back to you from Cancun, I believe. So as soon as I got back, I called him, getting ready to go on a charter to fish, to get hold of the owner. Told him that we would have a meeting, what time did he want to have it on Thursday when I got back. We had a meeting over there, the police chief was there, I was there, Matt Rush was there, the city administrator was there, with the owner and his son. And we walked around and I don't know how, it's an unbelievable mess. They had started to clean up some stuff. There was another party that had property over there that had to clean theirs out. He seems to be mad at me now because he had to take his stuff and put it somewhere else, which is, I could care less. So bottom line is, we went over, we looked at it. He was supposed to sign up, and so he'd been contacted before, a lot. Sandy has contacted him. Sandy went around when he had to, when we got him out of the tent deal, so we let him move into the house. We didn't have running water. The sewer had been fixed because it had been busted at one time, but you still got water to get the stuff to flow, right? So we went over there. The house was remarkably better inside than I thought it would be, but it's not, to me, inhabitable, but I'm not an authority, but I've got enough common sense to know. We went over, he let me come into the house, I went into the house, looked around. He was not running, he was running the generator. He does not have it plugged into the box. He's got the drop cords, okay, which is a hazard in itself probably, no question. Was cleaning up. When we talked to the owner there, we talked, me and the police chief and us, we all talked about what options did we have based upon the ordinances we had as far as shutting off the generator and not letting it run. I don't know what we found out exactly about that, because we realized really quickly after that, because I've been there about 3 times myself. Sandy's been there on many occasions. You just haven't seen her because she's got documentation of making contact with them. She went around behind there one night and one afternoon, and it frightened her because she went around the corner expecting to deal with this guy she'd been dealing with in the tent and so forth. And there were about 3 other people in the backyard that were homesteading or whatever you wanna call it, right? That were trying to be nice about it, but, they were ran off and gotten out of there. There's been a close eye being kept on, that it's just not the guy that the guys are, there may be some people that come and go, I'm not disputing that at all, because that's what you're gonna have, right? And the problem I have and concern is, these folks they're birds of a feather flock together, so you have a bunch of people that are homeless and this, that, know one another, they kind of become a support structure for one another, and then they end up saying, hey, come up here, come to Centralia, come here, that's a concern I've had. Those people should be able to get help. I think we should make, contact with them to make sure they're mental capacity to understand what their options are for them not to have to be on the street, because I believe there's enough government subsidies and Boone County and things that these people don't have to be on the street. And-
They,
and-
if
and
they
make-
wanna be.
they made a choice at some point,
Right.
if they're in their right mind. And I think we always need to make contact and make sure that they don't need protected from themselves, if that makes sense. So all this going on, I'm telling you about it, the owner, he was telling them, well, you'll have to get it green tagged, because that was the first thing, because we didn't feel that Boone County was green tagged, is that correct?
Correct.
What we saw that
From
day.
the electric that we saw inside, we knew that the county's not gonna come in there and say, yeah, we can hook power up to the house.
The box, the post, all of them's gonna be changed.
So we are requiring them, if they are going, they want utilities on at that house, so we are requiring them to go through Boone County, get it inspected, and, you know, will Boone County say yes? Probably not, but that, we're putting that on them to say, hey, this electric's not going to work, so no, we're not gonna put our meter on the house. And just the liability of that, a fire or something like that, somebody gets hurt, or even worse, killed, so.
You know, and if it's the code, I don't have a.
Right.
So it's not, but we don't believe it is.
You know, if it's a habitable thing, then there's not a damn thing I can do, but I just don't believe it is.
So in that situation, it's a $40 fee. And I'm glad to say this right here in public. We talked to the owner said, he explained to him what the process was, you can come there, you're gonna be billed for the $40, whether we request it, for, you know, you turn it into us, the application for to have it green tagged or not. He was coming up, he came to the city hall, the owner did, and started the paperwork in here. And then halfway through, says, well, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna spend, I don't know, the $40, give you the $40, and instead I'll just talk to it myself over there, which you can't do that. So, at that point,
Can I spend $40 and have it go on through?
well, I don't know, I think part of the problem is, you know, the owner, I've known him forever too. Not bad people, all good people.
No, yeah.
Too good-hearted maybe, is what I would say. But that being said, the challenge I think we have with that over there, it's inhabited now. And when that happens in some form or fashion, it becomes, yes,
But the
exactly.
permit has been paid for.
Now it has been?
Yeah, they
It
did
was the
send
same
it,
day. He came
Okay.
back.
he came
So
back
come
and
back.
got it.
So to explain to you, that day, we had all stood over there for about an hour fooling around and looking at all of the mess, talking about everything, and very clearly dictating what was gonna happen. If it didn't, this was gonna happen, right? So now he's got evidently that in, that's fairly recent. He came back the same day?
He came back there that day.
So I
to
guess he
pay.
thought it over and came back, but he came up there, wasn't gonna pay it, left, came back. I guess they're trying to get it green tagged at some point.
Yeah, we haven't heard any.
So we're waiting to hear back from that. But we've also put the property, it's one of the properties that are gonna be on an administrative hearing that we're gonna have. And you gotta get that arranged and set up. We have a few houses, a few properties, that are kinda challenging, that need to be challenged and something done with them. That's on the list, and the city attorney and, our city administrator are working together on getting that coordinated, I believe. And you gotta send out a notice. Was it 60-day notice? It's a 60-day notice you gotta send out that we said.
You have sent it?
I don't know, have we sent
No,
them
the
yet?
notices are not out yet.
But, because we're waiting on, we're getting Cindy lined out on those, and those are gonna go out. And we're gonna have an administrative hearing for not just that property, but some other properties where we.
So is that like soon or 6 months from now?
It'll be
or
probably by the end of the year.
By when?
That's just by the end of the year, because you gotta give them 60 days, and they gotta come in, you gotta have a hearing, and they get 30 days based upon the ruling to meet the verdict or whatever.
So
it
it'd
is.
be in the year before you send the letters out?
No. The letters will be
No.
going pretty soon. I'm counting the 60 days for the
Gotcha.
letters. 30 days for them to respond after, the ruling could have to be made within 30 days after the judicial system takes its course, the hearing.
Mhm.
And then, moves on. I recused myself from that as the matter. We have somebody come in, to sit as basically the judge and to hear the testimony from both sides. And then the alderman sat in as a jury on that, in that situation. Sworn in, it's a regular court proceeding. You have to have a recorder and everything, so that'll happen. So that's in the works, and it's mind blowing to me how long it takes to get some things done in government. That's been my biggest frustration probably, right? But at the same time, you wanna err on, when somebody's living there, it becomes much more difficult than a house that's empty. And so that creates problems. We talked, I don't know, did we find out anything exactly on the noise ordinance or whatever for that?
Well, it says loud noise, so I guess you could.
It runs all night sometimes.
Well, I believe
It
that.
does.
And all day sometimes.
We did tell them that, the generator, we were possibly going to put in something that if they don't move on the inspection quickly or attempt to try to get the electric up to speed, that we would put a time restraint on when he can and can't run the generator.
Right.
So we did talk about that, but I don't think that we went any further at that, with that point.
And part of us, what we can enforce, what we can't, the question is, people miss paying their bill. They don't have their electric on, don't have their water on, right? But my point is, so we don't make them move out of the house at that point right then, right? So being he's in there, kind of, it's almost precedented in that we allow people to pay their bill in some form or fashion.
Isn't there a difference being that he doesn't have an established service though?
That would be the thought.
I mean, because he could still be using the sewer. He could fill the tank full of water
Septic.
and then flush it.
Yeah,
He's on
Or the
septic.
bushes out back.
He's on a septic.
yeah, he's on the septic.
Yeah, he's on a privatized, and the lot, because the house is not split from the rest of the land, the lot, in our ordinances, the lot is allowed to have a private
Right.
system.
It's all in one section, the pasture and the house are one plot, right?
Because if the house was separate, then we could
We could've done
we
something.
could have stopped it. but-
So you have a ordinance for sanitation, and he isn't complying to that ordinance. And the city administrator can go in and inspect to see where he is depositing his.
Sounds like a good time to me.
Sorry, it has to be you,
I'm
but
gonna be really honest
there
with
is
you.
an ordinance
I'll go
on the
on.
books for that.
I think I went to the house, and I think Matt did, but, the one place I didn't go, because I think the dog was in there, was in the bathroom, so I was spared that, went up in the
The
kitchen,
dog
got in
was
the
in the
kitchen.
bathroom.
And the dog was in the bathroom that day, but, yeah, that's a possibility of doing that. I think it boils down to, for us, we can move pretty quickly, I think, if he doesn't bring a green tag, then that
Right.
work doesn't get done. That's what we're kind of seeing as our streamlined ability to get the tenant out at this point, which is the problem. We'll say that,
Or make the house habitable.
well, yeah, well, and that's fine too, I agree. I was surprised, to be quite honest with you, if you look at it. But, a bunch of the junk has been gotten up and gotten out, and that does look better, but the fact still is it inhabitable? It's not at this point, doesn't have utilities, and it has to be made compliant. And that's what we're looking to do. And we're trying to streamline it as fast as we can, because let me tell you, it's very frustrating to have to continue to fight the fight.
Well, and he had his trash picked up 13 times, and at $17.60 times 13 is $228 that either he owes or the property owner owes to the city.
Well, I can tell you that Danes was told not to pick the trash up, and they did anyway. We did not pay to have trash picked up there. That was on Danes'
Well,
dollar.
you can tell Danes not to pick up the trash, but when those trash guys come by, there's a trash can sitting in front of a house, they're gonna pick it up.
I understand, and it
It's
happens all the
but they have
time.
stopped picking it up.
But we report to Danes how many residents we have with trash service, and that's what we pay for. We were not paying for trash pickup at that house. So that was on Danes' dollar. We did not pay for trash pickup there.
Okay,
But-
but he's not they're not picking it up now.
Right.
But he's
We
put
told
it
them.
out
But
there.
that's just recent.
Yes,
Yeah, that's not-
last 2 weeks.
Trust me, I watched the place like a
Yeah.
hawk too. I mean,
But he's putting it out there.
I-
So now we're gonna have a problem with him leaving trash by the curb and nobody's picking it up.
feral cats and everything, right?
And we
have
got
those in
feral,
town.
that's another property owner's problem. There, he's got feral cats over there and we have that problem in our neighborhood
Oh,
too.
it's bad.
It's bad. Oh, yeah. It's
Um,
bad.
So, I can directly, I want to directly answer what we've done and what we know, right? And it's a major, situation that we're looking to try to vet and get straightened out as soon as we possibly can, as lot along.
So could we contact the Boone County inspector, see when they're gonna, if they're gonna green tag it or inspect it?
Yeah, I can reach out and
They've
ask
already
if they even,
processed
if they've even
They've even
reached
done
out,
anything?
and I would imagine that,
Tell them we're getting
I would
complaints.
say they
Tell them
probably
we're getting
have.
citizen complaints now.
What's
They were
been
kind of
two-
running behind.
Been 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Probably been close to 2 weeks.
In school,
It's been 3 weeks at least, because the day he quit doing it, the day I lost my temper and left, and I couldn't catch him over there at the house, because he left town and went out to his farm, I guess. Because I was really aggravated.
And
I
that's
spent
the-
2 hours fiddling with this thing.
do they own, is the house tied in with the field?
Yes, it's all one
Okay,
piece.
well, here's the deal. That property is right next to a school, right across the street from the school, basically.
yeah.
So, I mean, Boone County needs to put that up on their priority list a little
Good
bit.
call.
Right, and we
It's
can
not in a
have-
bad section of town. It's right across from a major school.
Yeah.
So,
It is.
And this guy could be a sexual predator.
get on
Who
them.
knows?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not gonna get.
It's not gonna-
I'm just
that
telling you right
don't
now,
even
if they
work.
green tag it, they've been paid lots of money.
Call
Look,
it.
I'm a lot of things for an electrician, but I can tell you, that's not gonna happen without some extensive work being done. Now, they're allowed to give him a list of $2,000
To-do
worth of
list.
work, to-do list, and then we'll come back and then here's what's gotta be made to make it compliant. And then but if somebody's worked up about the $40, they'll really be worked up about a couple thousand.
Oh, yeah.
Or $228.80 that he owes for trash.
So,
I have to pay for my trash. And it's gonna get cold. And what are we gonna do when it gets cold?
that's right.
He's gonna get cold. And what are we gonna do for heat? I mean, right now, he sits in his truck when he's hot for air conditioning. You know, this guy has money.
Well, yeah, he's on, I know
Yeah,
his personal,
he's
I
on,
know his personal situation.
Yeah.
He's got money
yeah.
on a monthly basis
You know,
comes in.
as far as we know, he's not getting mail there. But once you get mail, and you're a squatter, you can't get them out.
That's the problem, yeah, that's,
So,
yeah,
so far, we don't have mail, so we need to do something before the mailman comes.
right,
Just saying.
yeah. It would be nice to be able to do what you think needs to be done right that minute, but boy, it's,
How's the roof on that house? Is it gone?
I can't believe it's not leaking like I said.
Well, part of it's metal.
It looks like it's not,
Patched.
it's leaking,
There's
isn't it?
good pictures
Boy,
there.
it's not, yeah, that's,
Yeah, I mean, run that chimney.
It's just a matter
Maybe
of
it's not,
time.
I don't know, I haven't been in it.
it was surprising when I walked in. It was actually pretty organized, definitely had some mold and mildew in paints and things like that, but the floors weren't about to fall through. I mean, I gotta be honest with you, I was shocked. Because you told me that that's what it was gonna be inside, I would've, there's no way from the outside. So, and that doesn't still mean it's inhabitable.
Right.
That can be fixed and would make sense fixing, so the green tag thing, you can check evidently to
Yeah, I'll reach out to them.
pep them up at Boone, because tell them that's, what they do is determine what our next action
Yeah,
is, right?
based on just other properties that I've dealt with, I'm surprised that they haven't called and said, hey, we have an issue over here.
Mhm.
And when I say that, we can.
So,
If they haven't reached out, if the property owner hasn't called the county yet for the first time, then the county's not gonna pay attention to it.
Yeah, I'll just reach out tomorrow and see what they say.
You can let them know they got a permit
Yeah.
put in and
Yep.
get it done, yeah.
so if it's green tagged and he can get utilities, and then he decides not to get utilities, then what do you do?
Well, as the mayor said, we're starting the administrative hearings for
Yeah.
the nuisance homes.
If you got a home that doesn't have running electricity and so forth, then first it's a personal health issue. For it's worse for somebody to be living in that situation, right? We have another place that doesn't have running water and somebody's living in it their whole life, so and then when somebody's in the house, it creates lots more problems because you're displacing somebody that becomes troublesome. So I've had some success calling Boone County and asking for a welfare check and getting that done, and then they have the resources to relocate those people. You know, they have the program stuff that we all pay tax money for.
Right.
That works, but this guy, I think, I don't know, I mean, I think if we get down to it, say this is it, you're not gonna have electricity, you're not gonna have anything, you're not gonna have a generator running, we've been reasonable, and, you know, what
Right.
we've allowed, based upon what the law would say, and our ordinance would say, we're going to attack it to the teeth, I mean, as much as we can without getting in trouble.
I mean, because if it catches on fire, it's gonna be a hot one, right?
You're not gonna put it out.
Not by the microphone. I mean, it's gonna be a hot one, and it's gonna affect the house.
Well, I'm not gonna send a fireman into the house like that.
Well,
Anyway.
but there's a lot of things here, there's liability, there's risk.
Right,
And once you become knowledgeable of something, you need to act upon it. If you don't, you become
liable.
liable. And we are aware of the situation, and we're gonna do everything we can to make sure. And when you say you don't wanna be liable, it means you, I hate saying you're doing it so you're saving yourself on your insurance or saving yourself from getting sued. You really should be, if you're doing it for the right reasons, which is to protect people and property and things the right way, that should be the secondary part of that. You should be doing it to make sure you're protecting people from themselves or situations or whatever it may be, whether it's in the workplace, working with machinery or whatever it may be, or out in your community living somewhere. So, yeah, it's a serious matter and very frustrating.
We have two paths that's being worked. One's the green tag, the other is the administrative hearing. You're gonna get those out in the next couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna-
Are there any other avenues you can look at as far as dealing with the landowner? He's basically in a contract with the guy for doing work, for allowing him to live there. So that's, I mean, is there other requirements we can put on the landowner?
Well, he has to bring the property up to the green tag. I think that's our only recourse at this point, because he has a right to enter any kind of verbal or contracted agreement with somebody to take out, for work performed or whatever they agree to for, in trade.
And he said, he told me he's just letting him stay there for no cost, and he's not paying him to do any work there.
Yeah.
It's
But
no
when he
cost
told us
to him.
that we were there, he said that he was to clean up, that was what he was gonna do,
Right.
clean up and do all this, you know. I don't know, I mean, it's not.
You know, and I don't know if you go out to Tri-City Lake, but we go out there occasionally, and there's several tent people out
Oh,
there.
I know.
And, you know,
I've seen
so are we gonna allow them to move in 2 weeks?
No, well, it sounds like some of them were trying to move in while I was gone.
You're right.
And then she startled her and they were gone immediately. We're really keeping an eye on it.
Yeah,
I know I personally do myself,
yeah.
so. You'll check on that. And worst case scenario, we have an administrative hearing. They're on the list. It's in the works anyway, because we've got other properties. If that property drops off, that would be great. It means we got to a resolution sooner than it takes to go through that whole process, because I hate to have that in place for another 3 months, 4 months. Right, so.
Yeah, because it's gonna be cold,
On it?
and I believe it's gonna build a fire.
The only thing you gotta worry about is the pipe freezes. Other than that, it's gonna be a problem.
I don't think he cares if the pipe freezes.
Oh, yeah. He don't care.
What's the time on the noise ordinance? Did you check?
I did not see a time on there.
We don't have a time.
Sounds like we need to add the noise ordinance to our list. One, make it so that it's a measurable reading at the edge of the property line probably, as well as.
Decibel
Yeah.
reading.
And it kinda sounds like you need to work the whole process of what are we gonna do about this? We need an ordinance to stop it now, before, I mean, it's gonna get worse.
Oh, yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of homeless people.
We actually do have an ordinance, that we're going to, well, it's in the packet for tonight, just for you guys to look at and see, but about tents and temporary living. And then I'm working with Sydney also on, situations like this and what we can do in the future.
Oh, good.
to get it fixed and all.
Trailers is another thing, people living in a travel trailer or a camping trailer,
Buses.
not in the house because it's better than the house.
Yeah.
We've got 2 or 3 instances around town. So all that's been being worked on for the last probably 2 months. Checking with other cities, gathering information, you know, what you want to do, what would you change, that kind of thing. So yeah, so it's good. I'm glad you said that because I knew you've been working on that. I didn't know you all would come.
That's positive.
Yeah, you want to put things in place, you have to deal with it again.
Yeah,
Or if it comes up, it's dealt with because it's real black and white.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, anything else on that?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, so, I mean, will somebody like keep us informed
Yeah.
on what's going on?
It's my fault I didn't say something back to you guys too.
No,
mean,
I
I'm there
appreciate
too.
you, emailing me back while you were on Cancun, that was impressive. I didn't hear from Mr. Decker though. Sorry,
He wasn't Cancun.
huh?
He wasn't Cancun.
I know. He was in Centralia. I couldn't get hold of Mr. Wilkins because his email is not correct on your city website.
We'll have to talk to him about that,
Right.
if you set that up.
No. Yeah, that's where we started.
Yes.
With
No,
our
no, no, no.
Alderman, with Mr. and, you know.
You've served the city before.
Oh, yeah, I
appreciate
spent
that.
6 years back there.
No, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
But, you know, we want to deal with these kind of things, and we also want to take these to learn from them, because we know as things get hard, things keep going up in cost. There are going to be people that didn't think they'd be in a situation potentially, and we just want to be prepared for it best we can, and be humanitarian at the same time. Because you don't want to get started in that way, and get into the right, proper help.
Right.
So, thank you for your time.
Okay,
Come in,
thank you guys.
appreciate you.
Any other comments from citizens?
I received an email from a man at 115 South Reed complaining about lack of drainage. I don't know if there's
You
anything.
see those pictures, Matt?
I
got
did.
them too as well.
I actually looked at it with Austin, because that was the electrical easement project that we did a couple of years back. It looks like to me the water is a good distance away from where we ran electric, from the pictures that I saw.
When I looked there some time ago, it looked to me like the property almost at the north, there's a big bush or something right in the drainage that's keeping the water from
Is that the west side of Reed?
going.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know I met with a guy over there 2 or 3 houses down, I don't know, it could have been a couple of years ago. He was trying to figure out how to do some.
And he did
fix
some-
some-
he
He was
did
trying
some-
to figure out how to do some drainage.
Well, he
Flood
mentions
flood.
that, he mentions that in his email stating that he thinks that it's made the situation worse for other landowners around.
Yeah, I didn't see it, I just, basically met with him, showed him where the water's going and stuff.
And at the same time, when I looked at it, there's standing water in Centralia when you get 7 or 8 inches of rain a week, you know what I'm saying? We get 5.5, 6.5, 7, whatever it was the first day when we had it, but a quarter, an inch, half an inch for 9, 10 weeks. Damn, Centralia's flat. I don't know what else to tell people. I mean, you can't make the water go
Well,
uphill.
the bad thing is we don't
Pump it.
do backyard drainage, I mean, that's not.
No, I
Yeah.
understood, but
So, I
also I
mean,
understand the frustration.
several that-
I'm gonna, Harold, I'll respond back to him tomorrow. I wanted to get with Austin to see what all has been done back
I don't
there.
know if the electricity did.
Yeah, I mean, when he said that, it was from when we did work back there, we looked at the pictures and like I said, it's a good distance away
I mean, I'll be
from.
happy to go there with you if you want to, because it looked to me like the property right next to Rodney Griffith, he's got a
Bush.
big bush or something that's
Okay.
really blocking that ditch.
Well, then, you may want to take a look at what was done.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was the second or third house, and he was.
He said on the email, the 4th house to the north of the resident that emailed
I
us
think
is
it's
the
that
one
far
that
down.
did.
Maybe it was that far down. It's been a couple years ago.
That house is only 2 houses from Rodney Griffith. I don't see how you got 4 houses north of it.
Oh,
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well.
General public.
4 houses north, you'd be on Singleton.
Well, what's
Some of the issue is
Yeah.
that when we go back in easements like that, we put our electric in and then communication comes in behind us. And they have not been known for very good landscaping.
We've had terrible problems with the people providing
Well,
the
the,
internet stuff.
the biggest problem with back here, I mean, we've shot grade and tried to help out several of the neighborhoods over there, is if the homeowners don't wanna get together and try to do anything, you can't do anything. They've got their fences, their sheds back there. You'll have two homeowners that wanna fix it, and then the rest of them like, I don't care, whatever you wanna do. And they just don't care.
You know, as long as you don't touch my property.
Well, yeah, they're not gonna help, and they're not gonna move anything or do anything, so you're fighting trying to get anything to drain back there. And that's probably what they'll run into.
Yeah, I mean, that one picture that he sent was, the water was sitting underneath his fence. It's gonna be pretty hard to dig underneath somebody's fence to make the water run. So, I mean, I guess we can have everybody move.
But the other thing is you gotta have the fall to get it to run, right? I mean,
We've got a pipe stubbed out near, Rodney Griffin that's deep enough, they could.
if the water gets to it, it'll continue to run that way, that it gets.
Yeah, they could actually do something. I mean, it's got storm sewer running down Rodney Griffin on the south side, and there is a pipe that's stubbed up back here to catch the backyards.
They had an earthquake on Rodney Griffin Drive too. Y'all didn't know that? I got hit up last night over this deal. You know, in the movies where the sidewalk heaves up about this much and then goes back down. I'm not mentioning any people, but yeah, the sidewalk. Pretty high up. It's about this much higher than the rest of the sidewalk. It's heaved up.
Who was running the equipment that did it?
I don't know. No, it was a tree. I had no idea what
I was gonna say.
Who's responsibility is the sidewalks?
No,
There you go, the resident.
So I can tell the owner to take care of it?
that's what you need to
That's
do.
what you
I
do.
that.
But we pay for the concrete, they pay for the labor on it.
Up to a certain point.
If they wanna do the
If
sidewalk,
they do
right.
sidewalk program, yes, we do
There's an
offer that.
application.
Okay.
Absolutely we do.
Can't get right on that, I'm thinking.
But,
Okay.
Do we have to have, that person have to have permission to do that, or just do it?
Is it their sidewalk?
Huh?
Is it their sidewalk?
so they probably, yeah, it says.
Yeah,
don't
you
have to-
just
Somebody
come up
sidewalk
and fill the
on the line.
application out, and we take measurements and look at it, and then we agree upon a
Next
price.
time you're over there, just look at it, you can't miss it.
Okay.
We'll get rid of it. Do we have to put one back in?
Yeah.
Or
That's
once
the
you take it out, you gotta put it back
That's what they
in?
call a sidewalk.
Yeah, the sidewalk program, we
Places do
remove
better sidewalks.
the sidewalk.
The
city
city does
will
that,
remove
but
it.
the city puts it in? Or
No.
just pays?
We remove the sidewalk, and then the homeowner will then have to have somebody frame it and pour it, but we will reimburse,
Up to an amount.
up to amount of the percentage of the concrete.
We'll get back with you.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
It's a good program. If you don't have to take advantage of it. Let me know where you're going, we're good with you.
Okay, I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Any other comments from citizens? We will close comments from citizens and move on to our public works. The street department's activity reports in the packet. Bill, anything you want to point out?
I'd say the biggie is we finished up the Jefferson Street storm sewer project. We got that all wrapped up.
It looks good too.
Thank you.
Does look nice.
No.
Yep. Guys did good.
There was puddles of water on this last week. Sorry.
There probably will be a few puddles. It was just rough graded. We haven't, shot any grade. We just kind of smoothed it out and backfilled her and hoped she was gonna settle with all the rain. So I'd say as soon as it dries up, we can probably start landscaping. Get her knocked out.
Looks like all the schools got done too, that was the crosswalks and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, we got all the crosswalks done around the school, so yeah, we're getting that all whittled down too.
Nice. Any questions for Phil on his activity report?
Phil, do you wanna go into, the parking spots?
Parking
now?
spots? Yeah.
Let's go ahead and discuss those. I mean, the handouts that I gave you all are just some aerial views of just some discussion needed on parking spaces on Singleton down towards Pringers and Extreme Mart. And then the second photo is Sneed Street here. Harlan had mentioned he possibly would like to change the parallel on Sneed, so I'll let Phil give you
Yeah.
some measurements.
We can start with Sneed one, that one's quick and easy.
Okay.
Over here beside the police station and City Hall, from Rollins to the alley, we got a 58-foot, 6-inch wide roadway, curb to curb. And if we switch those parallels, just from the alley to Rollins to angle there on the side of the police station, City Hall, we'd still have a 32-foot, 8-inch wide driving lanes. So it's more than wide enough. And there is 5 parallel, and we could possibly get 8 angles, so we could gain a few spots. So that one's very doable. If we wanted to go to the other side of the alley, we'd have to eliminate the parking on the south side of Sneed along Oliver, so we wouldn't be able to park there at all. If we change that to angle, it'd be too tight. But we could definitely change from the alley back to Rollins.
I don't personally think we need the angle
Yeah.
that way. Just one.
We wouldn't gain much because we'd lose it on the other side, so we really wouldn't gain much there, but we can change just just a half block, and we can gain probably 3 spots, possibly, if it works out right. So, that's doable. On Singleton, there's been a lot of discussion about how tight it is, so we went down there, parked some trucks, did some measuring. Singleton in front of Extreme Hardware is a 53-foot, 8-inch wide curb-to-curb road. And when you got 2 trucks in there, and not even as big a truck as you can have, you got a little over 19-foot driving lane, bumper to bumper. So if you take off a little bit for giving people some room, you got about a 7.5-foot driving lane on each side, which is extremely tight for most cars. And to give you a comparison, Singleton up here, kind of in front of the New Mexican restaurant, is a 63.5-foot wide curb to curb. You have 27-foot for driving lanes up there.
What's Allen, do you know?
We did not measure Allen because that would be a real wipeout there.
So what are the thoughts down there by the,
If we switch the angles to parallel on part of that, we're gonna lose some,
I
but
think,
we're gonna open the road up. And my suggestion would be parallel on the north side because it's already partially parallel. We'd lose, right now we've got 7, 8, and 7 if you go from Collier clear down to the gas station in those sections between the driveways. And we could probably put 4 parallels in between each of those. And you're probably gonna open up your driving lanes 5 foot at least or more.
Yeah, some of the bigger issues right now that we're getting complaints on, especially with school events going on, with that fire and back up, is the turning lane to go right onto Jefferson. If trucks and cars are parked diagonally, it just bottlenecks down and it,
And if you got 2 full-size trucks, crew cab, long beds parked across from each other, people are waiting. There's no 2-lane traffic. It's a one-way street. I mean,
So-
everybody's seeing it.
so we didn't check Allen up here?
I didn't check Allen Street,
We
no.
probably ought to put tape to that, because I've had many people ask me about what could be done about the long bed, extended cab trucks with a hitch sticking on them out there into that street. And I know there's been times I went through there and there wasn't hardly enough room to get through there.
I think that is a little wider than down there, because when we plow that, we don't have as much room trouble meeting cars as we do down here.
Yeah,
But we can measure it, though.
It can be tight, but it's a
Yeah.
difference.
But I do think it is a little bit wider, but
Well, I
we
don't
can
know
check.
if anybody's ever driven down through there, when the restaurants are full of both sides. You can't tell me you would have to pay close attention to what you were doing driving.
Oh, yeah.
There's sometimes you gotta stop and wait.
Right.
And some people, like the long trucks, they don't pull up all the way. You're gonna hit somebody. I mean, that's every once in a while.
I'm just saying, maybe we should check so we know what that is.
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
See, it's in the big reason, that's been the discussion for several years, and we're getting ready to overlay it. This is the time to discuss it.
Is there
Figure out if we
parking
wanna
on
change.
Singleton next to, between Bradford and out, and
There's parking on both sides, all the way
Yeah,
down.
it's both sides.
Yeah.
it almost looks like we should even have parking right there, because when people are trying to turn,
you say Bradford and Jefferson?
yeah.
Oh, no,
No,
right
that's
down-
a turn
That's a
lane.
turn lane down there,
So
sorry.
strictly
Yeah, that's
there.
not parking.
So the parking starts on the west side of Bradford.
Yeah.
Basically,
You've got
we're gonna make a hard
a
right.
right
Get
in
into
on
the
this one.
Yes.
Yeah, there's turn lanes, yeah.
Yeah, that's where it is, but the problem is you get 2 or 3 cars ran back through that and you get beyond Bradford, and then the people that are wanting to turn left can't go forward because the traffic's backed all the way up on the scene. We just decided, Phil and I talked about it with, like he said, Overland, that's, if we wanna put something in place and get lines painted to where, it's all fresh and a little more confusing, less confusing for people. Either way. it's
You had it right the first time.
But if you look at Singleton, starting at Rollins, I mean, we've got angle on one side, parallel on the other, then you switch on the other side, so it's already like that on part of, part of the street anyhow, between Rollins and Collier. So it's wider already through there. And then after you get past Collier, then we've got angle on both sides and the street just keeps getting narrower.
I think both suggestions that you've made sound reasonable, and
Sounds like we ought to consider doing that then.
not something we vote on as a general rule, right? Anybody have any heartburn with the suggestions?
When you make those parallel, there's gonna be a lot of people parked the wrong way.
Well, after we overlay it,
You're
that's
have
all
to
they're
be
gonna
nice
see.
and generous and put some, yeah.
There you go.
Cause it's been like that forever. But
You
gotta
overlay
do
it, you got that fresh
You gotta
black
do it.
on there and then the white, I mean, it'll stand out, and it'll,
Hard not to see it.
Yeah, it'll be obvious.
And we'll put information.
Samantha can put it on Facebook.
If you make the lines pink.
I don't care, I'm easy.
Okay.
It's gonna be me.
Any more discussion on the parking places? Anything for sanitation or stormwater or other?
Town drained very well for as much rain as we've had.
Not disagreeing with it. Okay, we'll move on to the water. Aaron, anything you want to point out?
Fixed several of the leaks that sprung up during the dry spell last month. We pretty well finished up out at the animal shelter. We're waiting on Richards is making a new sign for it out there. We've got a couple pieces of trim to put on out there. We did start up on the Northwest system for the wastewater project. So all the systems have been started up now.
Wonderful. That's good news.
That's it.
Anything for the water, sewer, or other, anything to expand on here?
We did receive some drawings from Kimco, so I do have
Hallelujah.
those. I do have those. I actually just forwarded that to the mayor and Tara a little bit ago, so for some reason our engineers went out on email, so I sent it to them also, but we'll see what we need to do to get those looked at and approve them if they fit and get that rolling, so.
Is this on schedule?
Yep. Yep.
Move on to the electric department. Austin, anything you want to point out to us?
We did finish up North Point, we set the rest of the transformers and pull wire in, and we hooked up 5 or 6 of the houses. I think there's maybe 2 left on Pickman, and then the cul-de-sac where they're going next is. We upgraded the service for the high school in the new building. We pulled 2 of the old transformers and set a new one, a bigger one for them. Other than that, we had several broke poles the last couple of weeks we've been messing with, and all the storms, we've been nonstop outages, so.
You guys have been pulling a lot of extra duty, especially being shorthanded. We do appreciate it. Thank you.
Is their system fixed yet, Matthew?
Tune up.
Not yet.
What is pulling gut up on lines in high school?
They, the new building they built for the wrestling building, we had to go up on top of the roof and put gut across the whole line for them to build around.
Safety, yeah. It was a safety thing, so the guys up on the roofs didn't accidentally touch the line.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did pull several of the old poles at the parks and dug underground over there. Found a couple spots that we could eliminate quite a few poles, so we did underground over there, so we hope we don't mess with them as much. That's it from me.
Any more questions on the activity report? Anything for generation, purchase, distribution, other? Nothing at this point? Okay. Mr. Rush?
Just a lot of meetings with departments for different projects, meeting with customers. been working with Rimsel out at the basin project, so they got started, and of course, as soon as they got started, the flood came. It's only been dry for about 9 months, but we're close, so I believe, they got some the water stops in on the lower basins and then started the compaction test coming up. I'm not exactly sure, they were close to getting them brought all the way up, but I don't know if that's been done yet or not. And then they've dismembered the pit and started doing some work up there, like I said, then the rain came, so.
You have to guess how far, what percentage of the items on the list have been completed?
30% maybe. That's just a shot on the hip. I mean,
Yeah, I just, so it means we've made some decent
Yeah.
progress before the rain.
Yeah, I think if we can get some decent weather, they're hitting it pretty hard out there, so hopefully we can wrap that up here next month or so.
It's a sight that we haven't seen much out there, is people actually out there, equipment moving.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, just trying to assist the departments, wherever I can, whatever they need, and if they need somebody to help them out, run and get parts or whatever I can do. And like I said, just working with the engineers on the basin project, and then also with the Slaker stuff, we've had some other items that Aaron and his crew have helped us get product and material to the Kimco people so they can spec the right thing. So just constant communication back and forth with them.
Any questions for Matt? Any as may arise?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have adjourned our Public Works and Utilities Committee meeting. Does everybody need a break before we move on to our next?